Welcome viewers, Dr. JWAU. Australia disappeared. Australia didn't collapse. It disappeared. Nobody announced the end of Australia. There was no final election, no surrender, no mourning when Australians woke to discover their country had disappeared. The flag was still there, Parliament still open, the anthem, in some places still played. Australia existed on every map, but something underneath it had begun to vanish. A young Australian worked harder and moved further from owning a home. A family watched groceries, electricity, insurance and rent consume what their wages once protected. Hospitals strained, roads filled and deteriorated, schools stretched, overcrowded, housing became impossible, security became anxiety, and the Australian promise that responsible effort could build a decent life began feeling like a story inherited from another country. Each pressure arrived with its own explanation. Housing was one problem, population another, wages another, infrastructure another, institutional trust was gone, political incentives meant nothing, and cultural fragmentation was another. Australians were encouraged to examine them separately, but ordinary people never lived them separately. They experienced them simultaneously. And that's where the catastrophic consequences begin. Because systems do not need to collapse to destroy what existed before them. They only need to make the previous way of life impossible to reproduce. The house was never purchased that was wished for. The child never afforded anything that the parents could obtain. The community no longer recognised the way it used to be. The institutions were no longer trusted. The future quietly was abandoned. No single decision needed to destroy Australia. Thousands of incentives, policies, adaptations and consequences could simply reinforce one another until the country retained its name while losing the conditions that once gave the name meaning. And that is the possibility Australians should fear most. Not Australia exploding. Australia continuing, the Parliament functioning, the economy growing, the population increasing. Only just is Australia's flag still flying, because many people don't want it to. And one generation looking at the next and realising we preserved the country on paper while losing the Australia we were supposed to hand them. The next generation will never see the glory days of Australia. And that's why this episode matters, because Australia is disappearing.